Our good friend Alan May joins us from Washington. He's the Capitals TV analyst, the Mr. Everything there in Washington with the Caps. Hey, Alan, good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year. What's your take on that 6-1 loss last night to Ottawa?
Well, you had a team that's firing as fast as they can go with the Ottawa Senators, doing an incredible job. Young players, only 3 players over 30, a 35-year-old in Giroux who still has his legs and is an absolute machine. They've got a 35, a 33, and a 31, and that's Tarasenko, and he's one of the hottest players in the National Hockey League right now. So all their other players are 26 and under, with minus Travis Hamonic, but they can fly. They move the puck. Everything is a read and react with them. And the Washington Capitals, on the other hand, they look very confused right now. They look slow with some of their older players, but I think the overthinking is causing the old paralysis by analysis, what we know is never a good thing in the National Hockey League when you're overthinking. So all the systems are brand new, and the players right now, to me, are having trouble adapting. And it's causing them a lot of problems. They've only got 3 goals through 3 games. They let in about 16, I think 16 or 17 in the 3 games. But the good news is they're 1-2. They play in Montreal on Saturday. Maybe they can get back to 500 and start to build on it. They have a very, very good home schedule for the first while. So they've got to make sure they don't blow that and put themselves right out of contention right off the bat.
Okay, Alan, you, as usual, you bring some common sense and reason to this, because we saw it with the Panthers here last year, first season under Paul Maurice. Took them until December to figure it out and ended up going all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So talk about this new head coach, if you don't mind, in Washington. His agent's a good friend of mine, watches this show every day. How you think this is going to turn out?
I think it's going to turn out all right. You know, the biggest thing that Spencer's dealing with right now, he's one of the most well-spoken coaches I have ever heard. And he's young. By National Hockey League standards, he's 41. I wish I was still 41. But, you know, the big thing with him, his communication is excellent. And, you know, he's got a system he wants to put in place. But last year's system under Laviolette was so slow, the players were skating backwards or stopped in the neutral zone at all times. There was nothing fancy about what they did. I thought for an older team, they were at a disadvantage at all times. Now he wants a 5-man swarm. And what's happening, and there's always one player overthinking or out of position, and it's causing all types of coverage errors right now when they don't have the puck. You know, guys are caught in between what they were supposed to do last year and this year. And I blame some of it on how bad and awful the preseason is now, that your veteran players, I don't think, play hard enough during preseason. Your younger players are caught between going X and Y and Z and all, you know, just standing here and there. And they don't really go after, you know, making the team in preseason by, you know, heart, hustle, desire, effort, and maybe going the extra mile and creating some havoc around the ice. So I think right now the bad preseason, which every team in the league is guilty of, mind you, is that it's taking a little while. And the Caps have, through the month of October here, I think they've got to get their act together if they want to try to be a wild card team. You know, Ovechkin doesn't have a point. Backstrom doesn't have a point. Oshie doesn't have a point. Kuznetsov doesn't have a point. Just 6 players have points through 3 games. John Carlson's been excellent, but it's been a very slow and not pretty to watch type of start to the season so far.
Well, let's talk about something exciting and positive. The Senators. How excited should their fans be? Because I feel like they're right on the edge of really getting excited.
Well, and they still have one player they've got to get back in the lineup, so they should be very, very excited. They look like a playoff team. Their defensemen can flat out fly. They can all move the puck. Shabbat, Sanderson are excellent. Brandstrom looked the best I've ever seen him look last night, and he's on their 3rd pair. But you look at what they've been able to do up front. They're terrifying. You think of their top line. That was one of the top 2 or 3 top lines in the National Hockey League last year. When you take Tkachuk with 35 goals, you had Giroux with 35 goals, and I think Stützle was at 39 goals. He had a breakout season. So when you have all those players, the second line identifies very much as a line that can play with anyone as well. But I would take that first line that the Senators have and put them against anyone in the league, any top line in the league, and they probably have more grit and more jam because of Tkachuk and Giroux on the side, but mostly Tkachuk. So they've got a very well-built top 6, and if they can stay healthy, I think they're going to be a team that's in the playoffs and a team that could surprise a lot of teams as they get there, because I think they're going to be near the top of their division. They have definitely broken through, and as long as they stay healthy, they're in contention.
Alan, we have a lot of viewers in Calgary, as you know, in your home province of Alberta. They can't watch Caps games without tears running down their face. And you know what I'm talking about, Matthew Phillips. He was theirs, and they let him get away. Is he all that? Is he all that?
Well, it's way too early to determine. The first game against Pittsburgh, he did all the little things well, but no one really stood out in that game. But he's not a hindrance. He's not a liability out there. He's a very intelligent hockey player. I think it was 4 or 5 seasons in the American Hockey League, which is a very tough league to play in because it's all about defense, but he was still putting up incredible numbers. He had, I think, 77 goals over 2 seasons. He had about 150-some points. I'm really bad at the math today. But, you know, he's more than a point-a-game guy there. And so far here, he's fit in well with Dylan Strome, Sonny Milano. They moved the puck well. I thought he was going to be a little bit scary and dangerous inside the defensive zone, but he's getting the puck out. He's making the right plays. He's always where he's supposed to be. He's not a great, beautiful skater and dynamic like Theo Fleury was for a smallish guy, but you know he works. He is continual and moving his legs. It's like just always going. And you know, so I really appreciate what he's been able to do with the team. I think he earned his time in training camp. He was one of the few people that went after it every single game, and I was worried about his board play. But so far during the regular season, he hasn't let himself get manhandled or pushed off the puck. He's just thinking the game very well. And I think he's an intelligent hockey player. Obviously, he's put up great numbers everywhere. But as I said before, once he got going in the American Hockey League, he became a more complete hockey player, you know, getting his offense to go with all the other stuff. So he's not a defensive liability like you see a lot of guys who may be tweeners or just minor league goal scorers. He's very competent. I don't know if he'd necessarily, you know, be the guy that saved the Calgary Flames, but he fits in well here. And sometimes the best thing that can happen for a young player is to get out of the organization that drafted you. And, you know, because they've got preconceived ideas about who you are and what you are. And, you know, they start to pick your game apart. You go somewhere else, they sign you for the positives. He is playing here on a one-way contract. And I think that's got to give him a lot of confidence.
Thank you for the analysis. And you may wish you were 41, Alan, but you and Jeff Pedersen live like you're 41. And for that, I'm so I say that as a compliment. You know that, right? You guys had a great time at Weimer Lake this summer in Minnesota.
Well, we always do. Some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life live on that lake, really all the surrounding lakes around there. And you've got to come up and spend some time with us. And now that I quit drinking beer, you and I can hang out all day and drink water and electrolytes and salt water and all of that. But it's
I love it.
A great time. We see a lot of concerts up there. We have the time of our lives.
I can tell, man. I was just waiting for the invitation, so it finally came. Alan, thanks for this, and enjoy the hockey.
Thanks, man. Take care. See you soon.
The great Alan May, one of the best people you'd ever want to meet.